There's a topic that comes up again and again in the Duolingo English Test, and it's really important to be prepared for this very important topic. So in this video, I'm going to teach you some great high-level vocabulary to help you discuss and write about this topic. But what is the topic? The topic is education. So it's education vocabulary in today's video. So if you're ready to be as prepared as possible to get 160 on the DET, let's get started. Hello, I'm Francis from Last Minute English. Now, many people have taken our DET preparation course, hundreds of people in fact, and what a lot of them have told me is that when they get into the DET, there are so many education-related questions. Questions about studying at university, discussing things with your professor. So, in today's video, we're going to focus on that topic specifically, and we're going to look at some really high-level vocabulary that can help you to get the best score possible. We're going to look at over 30 words in total. These are all really useful, very specific words that you can use in many different question types. And to make it easy, I've divided it into 6 different sections. Each section has a different theme. And I think that section 6 is going to make you feel quite confident before your test. All right? So let's get started with section 1. So section 1 is pretty obvious. The DET is a test, and section 1 is vocabulary about tests and exams and assessments. So the first word that we're going to look at is a type of, in fact, the first 3 words we're looking at are all types of work that you have to do, but they're different sizes. So the first word is assignment. Assignment. So this is like a high-level way of saying homework. So it's work that's given to students, and usually they have to write it. Maybe they would make something or research something or like speak something, but very often we think about this as writing. It's just a high-level way of saying homework. But then word 2 is bigger. It takes more time, and that is coursework. So coursework is work done in the course. Coursework, work done in the course. And it's it's part of deciding your final grade, all right? So you'll probably take an exam as well, but this coursework will contribute towards your final score for that course. So we could definitely say it's more important than just a single assignment or just a single piece of homework. Then word 3 is even bigger again. Word 3 is a dissertation. Dissertation. So it's not dissertation, it's dissertation. The stress is on the te. And that is a very big piece of work, often like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 words, and you research it for a long time, and you often do your own original research. And you very often do a dissertation in the final year of your studies. The next word is rubric. So rubric is the scoring system that teachers will check to decide, okay, your essay or your speaking answer, what score will it get? They look at the rubric to help them decide. And then a transcript is the official record of all of the results that you've got in all of your different exams in the different courses. If you get a distinction, that means you've got a really excellent grade, a really high grade. Standardization is the idea of making sure that the exam is fair for everyone, that everyone has the chance to show their best in the exam. And finally, pass rate is the number of students or the percentage of students in a class or in a whole year, in a course, who pass the final exam. Now, of course, it's good to learn a list of vocabulary. It's a good start, but it's even better to see how we can use those words in a realistic answer. So we've got part of an interactive writing answer for you here. Let's take a look at the question together. So the question says, think about a time you had to prepare for an important exam or academic project. So it's going to be an education-related question, one of many that could come up. Describe the experience and how you managed your preparation, including specific details about your planning and the final result. So the full answer would be much longer. We've just got a little extract from the answer here, but we've used some of these words. So let's quickly read through. We've got 3. In the end, I submitted the assignment on time, so submit the assignment, so give in the homework, and received positive feedback from my tutor. The project contributed significantly to my overall grade, which appeared on my transcript, there we go, so the record of your scores, as evidence of my academic performance. I was proud to earn a distinction. And again, think about the way that we use these words. So it's not like have a distinction, make a distinction, it's earn a distinction. We could say get a distinction, but earn is nicer. That's a little bit higher level. Earn a distinction for this paper, which reflected the hard work and organization I put into my studies. If you're enjoying this video and you're preparing for the DET, make sure to like and subscribe because we have loads more DET videos coming out all the time. The second group of words that we're going to look at is related to people. People are very important to talk about as well. A lot of people exist in the world of education. And of course, we've got simple ones like a teacher and a student, or you could just say, oh, the person who's standing up and talking and the person who's sitting down and listening. It's all fine, but if we can be more specific about the different types of students and teachers and other people who work at the university or at a school, then we can get those higher scores. The more specific your language can be, the better your score will be. So the first word is peer. So a peer is like someone else who's on the same level as you. It doesn't mean that they have to be in your class, but it might be someone who is also in your year, in the same year as you at university or at school. Then we have 3 different words for different types of the teachers that you get at a university. So the first one is a lecturer, and that's someone who will give classes. They will stand and they will deliver the class to a room full of students. And we can think about that sort of person as like a normal university teacher. That's a simple way to think about it. Then we have tutor. Tutor. So that's, if you want to sound very British, as I'm sure you do, then you say tutor, like that. Tutor. And it's like a ch, like a ch sound. Tutor. So a tutor is someone who will like teach a small group or even teach one-to-one. But often in university, it's a small group, sometimes called a seminar. And they will like ask different questions. And it's not like they're standing up and talking for an hour or for 2 hours and making a presentation. It's different. So it's much more interactive. They're going to ask you, you talk to them, you ask them questions, they make you think more. They also check if you've done your homework and done the reading, things like that. And then the last one is a professor. So a professor is like a lecturer, but higher level with some like lots of experience, maybe higher qualifications, very respected. So a professor is the most senior, most important of these ones. The next one is a mentor. So a mentor is an experienced person who will help to guide you and give you advice, give you suggestions. You can ask them some questions, they'll try and answer. And it can be about mentoring about many different things, maybe about studying. It can also be a business mentor in future, a career mentor. It can be a personal mentor. There's lots of different types, but it's someone who's very experienced and you try to use that experience. And the next one is an academic advisor. So an academic advisor is, you can kind of work it out from advisor. They give you advice, and it's academic, it's about your studies. So it's a professor or a tutor who will give you advice about what you're studying. If you have any questions, you can go and ask them, and often they'll have like office hours where you can go and ask them some questions. And then the final one is alumni. So alumni is a kind of a confusing word in the grammar because we only really use it to talk about lots of people, and it means the ex-students of a university. So people who used to study at that university. For example, for me, I studied at the University of Nottingham in England. And so I'm part of the alumni. We could say I'm an alumnus, but it sounds very strange. We don't really say like an alumnus for one person. We usually just talk about the alumni, so all of the people. For me, that's my friends and the other people that I studied with. All of us are alumni. So those are our words about people, the different people that you might study with and from. And let's take a look at how you might use some of those words in a summarize the conversation answer. So this is the second part of interactive listening. So let's read through. So we might say, my conversation was with a classmate of mine and centered around the deadline for an upcoming project. We agreed that most of our peers, there we go, so that's the other people in the class, were mistaken about the submission date and that the project was in fact due the following Tuesday afternoon. My classmate explained that she'd emailed the professor, pretty easy, but hadn't received a response, so we agreed that we would speak to the tutor after tomorrow's seminar and seek clarification. By the way, seek clarification, very nice phrase. It means try to understand what's happening. The third section is different types of learning. Now, I'm going to give you a little question here, and I want you to have a try. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to read this fill in the blanks question and see if you can find the missing word, okay? And it's a type of learning, all right? Have a little look at it. See if you can do it. 10 seconds. Have a try now. Okay, so did you get it right? The answer was apprenticeships, and with an S at the end because it's more than one. Now, what does that mean? That's the first of our types of learning words. So apprenticeships is when you've started a new type of job and it's something that you haven't done before. And that could be anything. That could be like if you're becoming a chef, but you haven't worked in a restaurant before, you have to do your apprenticeship. You have to learn from the head chef or from some sort of teacher chef, and you learn how the restaurant works and, you know, how do you chop an onion? Actually, I hope you know how to chop an onion before you arrive at the restaurant. But anyway, you're learning on the job. It's like you're young, you're not experienced, but you're gradually learning from more experienced people. The next word is placement. So this is when you're studying on an academic course, like in a university, but as part of that, you have to go and work in a real workplace, say like for 3 months or for 6 months or even like sometimes for a few weeks. And it gives you some experience of what it's really like to do that job. That is your placement. A different type of learning is an exchange. And usually we think of an exchange as a foreign exchange or an international exchange where you go abroad and you try to learn like a new language and experience a new culture as well. And things like the Erasmus program in Europe are very good for things like that, for doing exchanges. And then the fourth one is immersion. So that's part of the reason that you might go on an exchange, because it's one thing, for example, if you're learning English and let's say you're from China or you're from Mexico or you're from somewhere else, but you're not in an English-speaking environment, it's hard to only learn English just from like 1 hour a week of class, or even 10 hours a week of class is not really enough. You learn a lot faster if you go to an English-speaking country and then everything is in English. The street signs are in English, the restaurant menu is in English, and all of the people speak English, and you have to speak English. You are immersed into an English-speaking environment. That's actually how my Spanish became quite good, because before I went and lived in Colombia, my Spanish was okay, but as soon as I had to speak every day, suddenly it went, woo, it got much better, much quicker. And the same with Chinese as well. So immersion it's not an easy thing to do, but it's very useful. It's very effective. The next word is mainstream education. So education, we know. Mainstream means like the normal way of doing something. For example, mainstream music is the type of music that most people like in one country. Okay, so for example, in England, mainstream music would be things like pop. That's pretty mainstream. Most people like it, like Adele, Ed Sheeran. People like, I don't like Ed Sheeran. I do like Adele though. I think Adele's quite good. Anyway, back to education. Mainstream education is the normal education that most people in your country do. And it's different in different countries, of course, but we can think in one country, the normal way, that is mainstream education. Then two more very quickly. Tertiary, that's a hard word, tertiary, so that's like third. So we have primary, secondary, and tertiary. And think about primary school, primary education, so young kids, secondary school, secondary education, teenagers basically, and then universities is tertiary education. So it just means studying at universities and higher. And then the last word is lifelong learning. So that's talking about like not just stopping learning when you leave university, but keep studying, keep learning new things. Come and take some of my courses on Udemy or take my DET course on the any chance to try and promote my courses, I know. But that's an example of lifelong learning. And one of the good things you can do when you're learning these high-level words is to do little upgrades to a simple sentence. So if you've got a sentence like this one, let's take a look at this sentence together. We could say, when I was studying to be a doctor, I had to work in a hospital for 6 months. Okay, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we can use more specific vocabulary to upgrade the sentence. We could say, when I was studying to be a doctor, I had to undertake a 6-month placement in a hospital. So already just by adding undertake and placement, undertake means to do, and placement we know now, we're making that sentence much higher level. That's the difference between like maybe 110, 120 score and 160 score. By the way, we were joking about it before, but if you are interested in lifelong learning and you want to find out more about my DET complete preparation course, and it's got everything you need to score 120 or higher the first time you take the DET. And some of our students have even taken that course for 3 days and boosted their score so they can get 120 or higher. If you're interested in that, if you're preparing for the DET, the link is down here. Make sure you check it out. The fourth category, the fourth area of vocabulary that we're going to look at is verbs. So these are verbs that are like high-level ways of talking about different actions that we can do in education. So the first one is facilitate. So that means to make something easier. And often it means like to organize an event in a way that everybody can take part and like it's all quite easy. Then foster is to promote the development of something, so to help something to develop. Formulate means that you're thinking about, you're developing, and then you're expressing, you're saying an idea or maybe a theory. So he's formulating a theory, he's formulating a plan. So you're thinking about it, thinking, and then you're going to explain it. If you synthesize something, that means you're bringing together different things to make something new. And if, for example, you're doing some kind of like an essay, a synthesizing essay would be something where you take some ideas from over here, you take some information from here, you take some data from here, you read it all, you understand it, you kind of have a think about what that all means, and then you write something related to and using all of these things. Then you can critique something. So critique gives us the feeling that it would be saying the negative parts of something. And it does mean that, but also it can be giving the positive parts. So it's giving the good parts and the bad parts of, let's say, a book or a performance or an idea. You're giving your opinion in a professional way. The next one is articulate. So this word can be a verb. It can also be an adjective, articulate. So articulate, the adjective means someone who can speak well. He's very articulate. Articulate, late, means the act of explaining something well. So I articulated the plan and everybody, I think everybody understood. At least they all said, yes, we understand. I think I'm quite articulate. And then finally, implement. So implement means you have a plan and you put that plan into action. So if I have articulated myself well and I've explained the plan to my team can implement the plan. But I know that if they implement it wrong, or I say, okay, please implement that plan, and they say, what plan? Then maybe I'm not as articulate as I thought. Now, to practice these words, we're going to do another little challenge. So this is a complete the sentences question. I'm going to give you the question on screen. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You have to choose which word is missing, and you've got a selection of the words that we've just learned, okay? So think about the meaning of those words we just learned. Think about the sentence. What idea is the sentence giving? 30 seconds. Have a try now. Okay, so the correct answer was articulate. So for some reason, she just couldn't seem to articulate it. So she had the idea in her head, but she couldn't say it out loud. All right, so we all know that feeling, right? Particularly like if you're speaking English, you know what you want to say, the idea is very clear, and somehow between your brain and your mouth, it goes, and then all the wrong words come out and there's grammar mistakes and things. Anyway, so hopefully we can all keep improving and articulate. Oh dear, I'm not very articulate today. We can articulate what we mean much better in the future. Category 5 is challenges. So these are challenges related to education, but also we can use these words for other challenges as well. So we've got 7 high-level adjectives that we can use related to challenges, things that are difficult. The first one is demanding. So demanding, it needs a lot of your energy. You have to put in a lot of time and energy. If something is rigorous, it covers every aspect. So like a job interview, for example, and they check all of your history, they check like they talk to your family, they talk to the person you sat next to in grade 2. That's a really rigorous job interview. Word 3 is hard. Word 3 is multifaceted. Multifaceted. Multi, you know, that means like many. And a facet is like a part or an aspect of something. So multifaceted, it has lots of different aspects, lots of different parts or different areas. If something is taxing, this isn't about like paying money to the government. This is about being really tiring. It's mentally exhausting. Or it can be physically taxing. So it's very actually physically tiring for your body. If something is intensive, it needs a lot of work in a short time. Okay, so it's very intensive. Like an intensive course would be where you go like every day for 10 days and you work from 8 a.m. until midnight. And that's really, really intensive. No rest, but you learn a lot. If something is overwhelming, that means that it makes you feel like you can't cope. It's too much. So if something is too intensive, very often it can be overwhelming as well. And the final word is disheartening. So disheartening is when you start to lose hope. You start to think, I'm going to fail at this thing. This is not going to be successful. It's disheartening. So let's see how we can use a few of those words in sentences. And we've got a speaking sample question here. Let's just quickly read the first part. It says, academic work can involve heavy workloads, unfamiliar topics, and competing deadlines. So basically it's saying there's a lot of work and it's difficult, it's challenging. So here are some sentences that we could use. We could say, the course was extremely rigorous and I was constantly afraid I would forget something. So it's covering everything you have to learn. And then, though I found the project taxing, I was able to manage my workload by sticking to a strict schedule. All right? So it was tough, but I managed to do it. And at points, presenting with so many others felt overwhelming. So I felt like I couldn't cope. But ultimately, we were able to agree on the role everyone would take. So we got it organized in the end. Now, we've learned a lot in this video, and those last few words might have made you feel a little bit overwhelmed, maybe. The good news is that topic 6 is a happy topic. It is success. So let's take a look at some words related to being successful in education. So first of all, we have some nouns that we can use about success. Number 1 is breakthrough. So that's when you suddenly learn something new, or you realize something, or you have some progress that went more quickly than you expected. Then a milestone is like an important part, an important step on your journey to something. If you're reaching a milestone, you're not finished, but you know that you're making progress. And finally, a triumph. Triumph is a great achievement, an amazing thing that you have achieved. And we can use some great verbs as well for success. The first one is excel. If you excel at something, this is not like Microsoft Excel, you're really good at spreadsheets. You can excel at Excel though. I'm sure I've made that joke in another video. If you've seen that joke twice, then please forgive me. But you excel at something, it means you're very good at that thing. That's where the word excellent comes from. The next one is attain, and we often say attain a good grade, for example. And that means you achieve something after you've put in a lot of effort. If you are thriving, to thrive, that's performing at your best. And a good example of this would be something like a footballer who's playing at one team and he's not playing very well. Actually, there is a great example of this, which is any player who goes and plays at Manchester United at the moment seems to play very badly. And then as soon as they go to a different team, suddenly they start to thrive. So they start to play really well. Really bad, and then suddenly really good in a different situation. So if you're thriving, you're performing well. And finally, overcome is when you successfully deal with a challenge. You had something difficult and you got past that difficulty. So those are some words about feeling confident and successful. Now let's make you even more confident by doing a little challenge. So what I want you to do is in the comments underneath this video, I want you to write 1 or 2 sentences using some of the words from this video and some of the words about success. And I want you to describe how you're going to feel when you get your target score in the DET. So think forward and imagine, okay, when I get my score, this is how I will feel. All right, and write those in the comments, and I'm going to read all of them. All right, and I want you to make me feel very happy. All right, so tell me some happy stories about how you're going to feel when you get your target score. Oh, and actually, one more thing I want you to add in that is try to add the first thing you're going to do to celebrate when you get your successful results. So like, are you going to go out for a meal? Are you going to tell your mum? Are you going to go and celebrate with your friends? Tell me that as well. I like those stories. Those stories are fun. So that is all of our education-related vocabulary. I hope you found this video useful. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe because we have loads more videos coming out all the time, all about the DET. And if you are looking for a complete preparation course for the Duolingo English Test, if you want to get 120 or higher the first time you take the test, and particularly if you have your test coming soon, you want to do it in quick style, make sure you check out our complete DET preparation course. It's with me. All of the details are down here. I hope to see you in there. I'm Francis from Last Minute English. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.